Okay, so hi, good morning. So by my clock, we're at almost at 7:20. So thanks so much for waking up early and coming here, allowing us to share a little bit of time. I'm Raymond Kwong. I'm a cardiologist at the Brigham Women's Hospital. I direct the cardiac MRI program there for a number of years. And today, we're going to try to share my experience using Vista, a AI-assisted program in clinical imaging. Clinical imaging applying to as many cardiac MR as our program can possibly accommodate. This is an effort that has been going on for almost 10 months. And the original idea working with Vista has gone back about 3 years. And I have to tell you that I am extremely impressed with the team Heart Vista has put in addressing the needs of some of them are local at the Brigham, but overall how intrepid a team that they actually been able to put this tool together and allow a clinical program with all these different needs, different aspects of complexity of MR imaging, and launching a solution that is clinically not only viable but also extremely promising in my view. So I did not receive any funding from Heart Vista. As I mentioned, I am just someone being very impressed by the technology and the delivery of improved care at the Brigham. So, just a bit about the background of my program that went back 21 years, but I'm only showing the data in the last 10. It is a program that has experienced growth. We have roughly doubled in the last 10 years. Actually, most of the increase happened, as you can see, is in the last few years, totaling to about a little more than 2,100 per year scans. And we have our limitations because we have currently, most of our scans are located in only one campus. At the Brigham Women's Hospital, we have 4 scanners. They're all scattered. There's a main workhorse scanner, which is a 3T Prisma Siemens. And there are 16 different types of protocols. You can see the complexity of working on that 3T, but also we have to accommodate a number of other requests in the other scanners in the campus that are 1.5T scanners of different platform. Most of the other peripheral scanners in that campus are 1.5Ts. In addition, we also have a growing need to have a peripheral hospital, Faulkner, which is a community hospital in a neighborhood about half an hour away from the main campus. There's an increasing need for scanning mostly inpatients that are somewhat unstable. And we also have another program, a growing need at a program at Foxborough, because a lot of patients cannot or do not want to transfer themselves into the busy Longwood Brigham Women's area. So we cover a catchment area of about 2.5 million patients, and we need to cover, as I mentioned, patients from different locations. Many of them are being transported by ambulance into the main campus, which obviously has logistic and maybe infrequently even safety issues. And our scanners are most of the time are over 95% beyond capacity. So to address the needs of a CMR program, there are also, as I mentioned there, we have been operating at 12 hours per day. That's how much time we have to accommodate with tech coverage, 6 days a week. We'll do about 12 now, about 15, 12 to 13 MRIs a day, cardiac MRIs a day. We have a share operation with vascular, and we also have a long waiting list of about 1 month now, about 2 months, and also we have to address the issues of inpatient requests. So as I mentioned, that the challenges are also relating to the logistics of handling patients that are being shipped to the Brigham from our satellite hospitals, and we have different vendors and scanner platforms, as I mentioned. We also have a need to accommodate the standard clinical protocols, but also a number of research sequences all happening on the same dedicated scanner. We have to address the need of our team of 9 CMR technologists who have a, somewhat, there are turnovers of these technologists, and our rotating fellows yearly averaging about 6 to 8 fellows at any one time that are trained at our program. So the way we did it was we want to focus on the key top 3 protocols, because those 3 handle most of the requests. And the first one that comes up that we have to address was cardiomyopathy, structural heart disease cardiomyopathy protocol, that we want to develop a cookie cutter type exam plus or minus stress. And on top of that, we believe that itself takes care of about 80 to 85% of all the patient requests. And that you can see is a complicated protocol. It is a long 60-minute protocol. If we just perform on a regular basis, the way that we've been scanning using regular equipment, T2 mapping, T1 mapping, synase. We do look for fat and edema using fast-spin echoes, and we do perfusion, but also with the option of performing stress as well, which is often requested from our referral basis. And occasionally, not routinely, we also need to perform blood flow analysis for valvular assessment, and of course, we have to do lane enhancement, look for infarction or infiltration. So that together is a 60-minute long scan. And with that infrastructure right now, we're not able to accommodate that in a timely fashion. Complexity is that every MRI scan, we're talking about 200 clicks in a 60-minute exam, and most of the time is really the time, actually not doing anything, is actually time that is spent between data acquisition. Most of the time is when the tech is preparing for the next sequences, or the patient has to catch his breath, and other logistic issues. We believe a lot of that scan time, a lot of that waiting time in between can be streamlined or at least minimized. And also, MRI is a somewhat operator dependent. There is a skills level that matter in the product that is delivered. And we have very experienced technologists, but there is still a gradation of skill sets, and also level of efficiencies. Also different styles of scanning as well. We want to streamline all that into something that is sort of cookie cutter. So what does Vista do? Vista allows us 2 ways of streamlining data acquisition. Either you can use the 30 plus or maybe 40 now FDA clear HeartVista sequences or Vista sequences that consist of the usual type of imaging, Cine, LGE, perfusion, phase contrast, and so forth. Or you can use we can retain the usage of our own Siemens product sequences or research sequences, which have many of them, by allowing Vista to take over and control the scanner. So we have that option. The team at HeartVista have been, when I make these requests, they're very upfront to working with us. And at the end, we are able to deliver a product that is somewhat of a hybrid of these 2 approaches. That we can retain many of our research sequences that we have to deliver, but at the same time, if there are FDA clear HeartVista sequences that are very clinically promising and deliver a fast, accurate product, we can use that as well, all in the same scan. So that sort of cocktail has been, to me, has been really an eye-opening experience that is so effective in changing what we have. So here's how it typically looks like. It's a little small interface, but what you're seeing on a HeartVista scan usually is this interface that you can see the control on the left panel. You can choose by clicking each sequence directly, which is what initially our techs prefer to do that, but a more effective way of doing a scan is really prep the protocol, allow the AI to handle the localization and prescribing the angles, the slices, calculating and monitoring, and then allowing, the more effective way is to allow the scanner, the Vista application, perform auto scans that scan through a whole list of sequences. And when the images are scanned, it will put onto the right side for you to review. You can revise it, you can redo it, and what you see in the localization are all done automatically. Locating the key landmarks such as mitral valve, apex, prescribing a fairly consistent short axis. So that by itself is a localizer. Typically would take about 5 minutes for our text. When it's localized by HeartVista, it's about 30 seconds. As I mentioned, not only localizing and planning, the tool also tuned the optimal parameters such as flip angle, such as field of view, or in the case of lane enhancement, it will actually tune and prepare the TI time appropriately, and it will actually monitor the changes so that it can learn for the next cases, learn from what is being adjusted. There's in some minor sequences, it will also perform, such as for Cine, it will actually perform the analysis by automatically tracing the LV and RV for you. So with that combination, we find that the consistency is, the way I see it is sort of like a really good tech. It's at the level, the quality is at the level of a very good tech. It's not 100% perfect. There are cases that you have to adjust, but let me make my life easy, because when I know I have a less experienced tech, I know I can still have that trust in the quality. There are publications illustrating how the contrast and artifacts are eliminated in the consistency of tuning of the pulse sequences by HeartVista, and they are also very promising. I want to show so these are the typical sequences: function, perfusion, lane enhancement, and flow. Those are the big four that we deliver on many of our scans as a sort of a cookie cutter that handle most of the incoming referral. As I mentioned, some limited sequences, it will perform automated AI-driven online analysis, such as perfusion. It's a spiral package of perfusion acquisition. You can also automatically analyze for quantitative strain. As I mentioned, it also perform tracing of the LV and LV end diastolic and end systolic volumes and generate EF and so forth. So let's look at the results that we observed in the last, I would say, 8 months or so. I don't have the most updated data, but we have data up to about October. We overall observed a 31% shorter scan time, and I'll show some graph of that. Now, don't forget, this is the first 6 months when we're going through a lot of tech training, when we're learning how to do things, and also we're communicating with our Vista team about our needs. So there's a lot of back and forth and of enhancement. But even with that, we observe a 31% reduction of scan time and substantially more consistent in image quality as well. And I'll show some examples. So here's the first set of results in our first 6 months of about 1,000 patients referred for cardiomyopathy. And I only choose cardiomyopathy because it's the most consistent protocol that we're trying to focus on the first product to be launched in the fleet of services across all the patients. We want to deliver that one indication successfully. We want to focus on that first. What's on the left here is if AI assist was not used at all. On the right is if AI assist was the only thing used. In the middle bar is if there's a hybrid of some form, that the technologists decided that they need to use a combination of different family of sequences, some from Vista, some from our local research pulse sequences, or Siemens homegrown sequences. So there's a combination of them. So there's a little bit of choosing, mixing of data of patients here. Don't get me wrong. So this data there's no control group. This is observational, 3 different paths of performing the scan. The scan time is reduced by about 30%. Our usual cardiomyopathy protocol, as I mentioned, was about 55 minutes. It's a long study. Many patients could not perform this. But when only AI was used with very similar list of pulse sequences, the time went down by about 30%, down to about 38 minutes. But that's not the thing that I'm most pleased about. What I'm most happy about is the consistency. The variability of the scan time went from 17 minutes to 6 minutes. From an operational standpoint, that's very important, because now I can pack all of them in the morning, and I know the afternoon won't be ruined. If there's one difficult case, I can put that difficult case in the afternoon. So 3-fold more consistent scan time, and we found that most of the scans can be done in 45 minutes or less. This is our technologist acceptance rate in the first month. In May, it was low. It was about, it started around 10-15%. In September, it was about 50%. The last month, it was 70%. And our volume has gone up another 20% in the last few months. So the acceptance rate has been improving. A lot of that is there are some, frankly, there's different personalities. Some are more receptive to changes, some are less. And but even the skeptics are becoming more consistent in their usage. Quality of the key images. Again, this is just preliminary look of Cine qualities and also LGE qualities similarly by the 3 groups. Non-AI assist on the left, full AI assist on the right, and in the middle is when the tech feels there's some sort of patient factors or protocol-based question that the scan has to be done with a hybrid approach. And you can see that there's a consistent improvement or better quality. There is some selection here, don't get me wrong. Patients who are more likely to be chosen to have the full AI scans are probably a little bit less complicated. So I warn you on that. We're still watching, but there is a fairly overall, it appears to be, the quality to be fairly promising. Here's an example. This is a physician who was referring to assessment for a suspected sarcoid. And he had a lot of arrhythmias on the top scan. It was the tech performed the usual non-AI assist protocol. There is a arrhythmia, gating issue because of the frequent PVCs, and the T2, fast suppressed T2 to look for edema was difficult, was quite blurry, and the TI time by our choice of our experienced tech in this case was suboptimal. You can see that there is inadequate suppression or inadequate nulling of the myocardium. When he was brought back, and the second time we used only AI approach and let the scanner run itself, Vista Assist was able to deliver, and despite he has the same burden of arrhythmia, perfusion was good, lane enhancement was nicely suppressed, and the function was also substantially improved. There are real-time options and non-real-time options. I have been quite impressed with the compressed sensing, ungated approach that we got from Vista, which is, in my opinion, better than the basic real-time cine imaging that we will otherwise have. So in summary, Vista is an FDA-approved commercial tool to automate CMR performance. The pilot experienced a BWH, a shortened scan time by 30 to 35%, and we are striving to aim at making all our scan down to below 30 minutes. And I think we're achieving that goal very soon. There is improved overall image quality from our preliminary analysis, especially in sequences like LGE and black blood. There's 3 times better scan time consistency. This is one thing that from my program's operational standpoint, I think is extremely important, that we can program, we can time our, we can improve our scheduling substantially to handle a backlog of 2 months. Overall, our technologists also feel that their work experience has been improved. It's much less stressful to handle so many things. The phone is ringing, people are talking, the fellows are, talking to the tech, and there are all kinds of interruption. And with the Vista, a lot of that can be in the background, because the scanner is doing the job itself. There's immediate reduction of wait time. We are trying to use that to clear our backlog, as I mentioned, of 2 months, extending that service to inpatients as well. And we're planning to use this service in our neighboring hospitals to improve the delivery of care at these neighboring centers. With that, I will close. Went a little long. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thanks. Hi.
Question, I don't know. We'll see if the mic works. Yeah, great. I wanted to focus on that staffing question. Yesterday in the efficient CMR session, Sven Plein was saying, well, once you get down to your 30-minute exams, you're going to need 2 techs at the scanner because of the stress of kind of going back and forth. I was impressed to see that it looks like your techs are kind of happy with this, because in Toronto, it's really hard to find techs. So I would be very scared of having to have 2 techs at every scanner running through the day. So can you just give us a sense of your staffing model, how you see staffing an exam that's being run with this platform?
That's a great question, Graham. So we're lucky. I think he's going to want you to use the mic. We're lucky that we're blessed that we always have 2 techs helping each other. I think if we're doing 15 scans a day with or without Vista, you need to have 2 techs. One prep, so we usually do 2 techs a day, and one help the scan while the other person is scanning the previous patient. With Vista, I think you still need 2 techs, but it's easier because the operation, you can turn away, you can handle other issues when the scan is still happening. You just have to be observing, and most of the parameters you don't have to repeatedly sort of tweak the scanners. But I think, especially when we're running a lot of stress testing these days, we must have 2 techs as well to deliver a high volume program like that.
Maybe just a quick follow-up, and maybe you can just repeat the question. What about the skill set of the techs?
Yeah.
Can you have a mixture of skill sets to
Yeah.
cardiac MR?
So the question is, what about skill sets? Does this improve? I think that is one thing. Really the consistency of scan time and the reduced dependency of my team of techs. That is really one thing that I've been very happy with, because we have 9 techs with experience ranging from 15 years to 3 months. And it's the interesting thing is that some of the best users of Vista is really the techs who have only had a few months of training. They're the ones that are very very impressed, and they deliver the very similar product. The 15-year experienced tech versus the 3 months. Now the quality of the product is very similar, which is, I find that to be a very important aspect of the tool. So, any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Kwong. How does this compare to the Siemens engine? Is it a similar concept?
So I shouldn't be making any comparisons because we don't use the dot engine routinely. Okay. I would suggest that you may want to explore that with Siemens and have a direct comparison about how these two can compare. Yeah, maybe that would be yeah. Hi.
How is it affecting your life?
Oh, my life is better.
You're adding more scans.
Well, but that's what we do. We have a backlog of 2 months. We operate 7 days a week. Now, some of my fellows are here, and they are working harder and harder, but you know what? Happier. We deliver more patients with higher quality. The backlog is less. So I either get phone calls from people telling us it's unacceptable to make people wait for cardiac MRI for 6 weeks, or we work harder and deliver results. So I rather deliver results. And yeah, you're having a much high, you'll be having a higher workflow, but you will deliver more care and a more efficient manner and with good quality. So to us, I think it's better life. Yeah, busier but better life. Yeah. All right, I think we is this. What's the time? Well, if there are no other questions, thank you for attending, and I really appreciate your interest.